Hello YouTube, Chrisiosity here. As an intersectional feminist, I spend a lot of time talking about gender, race, ability, and other identities, but for various reasons it's always a little harder to talk about class. It's very easy to get dragged into the weeds on that conversation, both from the right and from the left. So it's just tiresome and complicated and blah. Luckily, though, I think there are some ways to get into this conversation. And today, I'm going to do that by focusing on the way that the two major Disney extended universes look at things like social stratification and work. And since this would be a PhD thesis if I covered everything in the Disney universe, I'm going to focus on two shows, which are tentpole shows on the Disney Junior Network, targeted to kids 8 and under. This has the benefit of being able to look at relatively simple storylines and characters, which will often be the first exposure small children will get to these universes. And also, I'm familiar with these shows because my kids and their friends watch them. I have little ones. So there's the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, which ran from 2006 to 2016, and Sofia the First, which ran from 2012 to the present. Both are award-winning, highly rated children's shows, particularly Sofia, which set records, and both have had spin-off shows. While the Clubhouse does have social hierarchies, these tend to be implicit, not well defined, while the class stratifications in Sofia's world are very explicit and follow rigid rules. However, where they both line up is this. Both present these hierarchies as natural and essential. A repeated theme is that questioning or trying to break out of the roles that have been given leads to misery and trouble at best, and at worst, utter destruction of the worlds involved. Let's start with the Clubhouse. The Clubhouse follows the main characters of the Mickey universe, Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, and Goofy, and their adventures in Clubhouse World. Mickey starts out every episode by saying the magic words, Miska, Muska, Mickey Mouse. That gets the Clubhouse to appear. The Clubhouse looks like some sort of deconstruction of Mickey's body. It's kind of funny. I kind of like it, actually. Anyway. Soon after the start of each episode, some problem arises that the gang needs to solve, using the Mouse-Skidooer, which calls forth Toodles and gives them 4 different mouse-skatools to be used on their adventures. The gang goes through various preschool-level puzzles, encouraging their audience to help until they've put everything back to rights. Then everyone does the hot dog dance and leaves. Now, this story's Mickey differs from some earlier iterations in that he often used to be shown as kind of a working class mouse who either struggled to make ends meet or just lives simply. Here, he lives in an extraordinary world created for him by Professor Von Drake as a gift. And Von Drake is the inventor of the Mouse-Skidooer and Mouse-Skatools and all kinds of other things given to Mickey because Toodles starts out the series voiceless and undifferentiated, but becomes a character in his own right after a couple of seasons. So the most obvious feature of this world is how it revolves around Mickey. It's his world. Everyone else just lives there, literally. He gets his own spaceship, submarine, car, none of it from his own effort. It's just given to him and named for him because he's Mickey. Now, Mickey is, of course, as benign a guy here as he is everywhere. He's everyone's friend, always pleasant and happy. He doesn't have to do much of anything but be a helpful friend and the de facto leader. You might think that this is the case with everyone on the show, that they just hang around being friends with each other. But you'd be wrong. Minnie Mouse owns Minnie's Boutique, where she and Daisy both work, making her something of a capitalist. She starred in her own spin-off about this business as well, Minnie's Bow-Toons, where the tagline at the end is, "There's no business like bow business." Goofy has a food truck, but works alone, and his truck doesn't feature much in the show. Von Drake, as already said, is an inventor and the single most essential character, being the creator of the world and most of the things in it. The most hard-working character would be Clarabelle. Clarabelle the cow has a recurring role on the show. She's a farmer, runs the Moo Mart and a bakery, does the plumbing for the boutique, runs the radio station, organizes many of the fairs and events that occur in Clubhouse World. She's also Goofy's love interest on the show. There are a couple of characters who question their society's rules. There's Donald, who usually just does it as an aside, saying, "Why is it always Mickey?" when he sees yet another Mickey-shaped and named thing. This is framed as a running gag, not a question that could or should be answered. It does make one wonder why Von Drake, who is Donald's uncle after all, feels it's so important to keep giving Mickey all of the world's stuff. I mean, if you're in a world that already completely revolves around him in every way and was created for him, if you're a grown woman watching yet another episode of this show with her preschooler, it makes you wonder. Preschoolers, as a rule, just accept whatever, for better or worse. At one point, Donald becomes annoyed enough to decide that he too would like his own clubhouse. His friends help him put one together, but this doesn't go well. And when it's finished, everyone leaves him alone to go back to Mickey's clubhouse. Donald gets lonely and chooses to return to the fold and play by the rules, having discovered the only other option is quasi-banishment? Like, why can't they spend some time in one place and some time in another, or... Okay. The other major character who questions the status quo is Pete the Cat, the occasional antagonist for the group. You know, little kid level antagonist. One time when Pete thinks he's been left out of the group, which happens a lot, so you could see why he'd think so, he decides to sneak into the clubhouse and take over so that he can be in charge. He gets Mickey out of the clubhouse, dresses up as him, and goes on in. He's met by Minnie, though, who's onto his game. He tries to prove who he is by saying the magic words, but he screws it up and the entire clubhouse is blown away in pieces. Mickey arrives back in time to see everything go flying off, and then Von Drake shows up to let Mickey know what happened and help him. That seems like a bit of a design flaw there, Von Drake. Say the wrong words and the whole thing goes to shit? I guess I'm not a genius duck inventor, so what do I know? So Mickey gets most of the pieces back but one. But now he's almost out of time and doesn't know where to look. Now Pete the Cat shows up and is very sorry for the trouble he caused. He offers to help Mickey find the last piece as he saw where it went, and they end up taking the trek to Giant Willie's castle and getting back the glove balloon. Mickey accepts his apology and all is well again. So you can see what I mean when I say the social stratification, while never really spelled out or codified, it's nevertheless unchangeable. To question it is posed as either being jealous or ridiculous, or to actually try to change anything is just disastrous. Backing up a bit, this is a show for preschoolers, right? I'm aware of that. And to a degree, this sort of environment is one that preschoolers can recognize and relate with. After all, they live in a controlled environment with their parents as the hopefully benevolent dictators of a sort, and seeing a world that is structured and works well can enhance their sense of security. But this level of stratification, with Mickey at the top and no one else even in a position to meaningfully ask why, takes this to an unnecessary level. After all, small children are also going through periods of rapid advancement and change. They're learning to be more independent over time within their structured environments. Many schools for preschool kids feature functioning worlds that are more egalitarian, like Sesame Street, which is a diverse neighborhood and no one is really in charge. There are still adults who help the children characters and are there for them, but they're also encouraged to grow and develop, and the human kids do grow up and change. The puppets talk about growing up even if they ultimately stay pretty well the same, and there are themes and storylines that are very simple, sure, but do go somewhere over the course of a season. They occasionally learn basic lessons in the clubhouse, but it's not about growth because nothing much ever changes, and so growth is besides the point. I mean, Toodles got a personality, but this just sort of happened. Like, maybe Von Drake got him an upgrade. It's not like there was a character arc. And he stayed as the sort of gopher of the group, just getting things and bringing things to them that they need. So it's a world in stasis, pretty much perfect as it is, and no need to change a thing. All right, so that's one show. But you might say, well, that's Mickey, and these characters are many decades old. There's not a lot of changing there, so what are you going to do? And that's where we turn to Sofia the First. Sofia, played by Ariel Winter, is the brainchild of Craig Gerber, who continues to be the story editor and producer up till just this past year when the show closed, while Jamie Mitchell is the director and executive producer. Sofia starts out the series as a common village girl in the land of Enchansia, whose mother makes shoes. When her mother goes to the castle to make shoes for King Roland, the two fall in love at first sight and get married, and Sofia goes to live as a princess in the castle with her new twin siblings, Prince James and Princess Amber. This is basically covered in the title song and in flashbacks. We start the show on Sofia's first day in the castle. This is obviously a big transition for her, but she's helped along by a magical amulet that King Roland gifts her with, one that is meant to help princesses. Okay, break. Okay, some of you may have wondered at the Disney Princess Extended Universe thing that I had said in the beginning, but it starts with this show. In Sofia's world, all the young princes and princesses from all over the world go to Royal Prep Academy by various magical means. This school is run by the three good fairies from Sleeping Beauty. At various points in the show, her amulet brings different Disney princesses to help her with stuff. Wiki calls the amulet a magical cameo machine, which is kind of awesome. And when they show up, she knows exactly who they are. She doesn't have to be like introduced or anything. She's just like, oh, Princess Jasmine. Oh, look, Princess Belle. And this is also mirrored in the TV movie Descendants, where the Belle and the Beast run a magical kingdom where they've put all the bad guys into a slum with no magic. Only their son Ben, who dates Princess Aurora's kid, Audrey, wants to give 4 of the villains' kids a chance to live in the regular kingdom and go to their school, which is run by the fairy godmother. And there's even a show called Whisker Haven where all the princesses' pets get magically transported to a world where they learn how to be good royal pets, taught by a hummingbird fairy, Mrs. Featherborn. DPEU confirmed, people. We have blown this thing up. And somebody else is going to make a video about that will get a lot of views. And I'm gonna keep talking about class, because that's the point of this essay. Yeah. Anyway, Sofia the First, the show. It's darling, right? Sofia is darling. She talks to animals who are darling, and the world is an endless delight. But there's a serious flaw at the heart of it. It wants to be a show about how being a princess comes from your heart, but in the context of a show where being a princess comes from your parents or your spouse. See, of course there's a class issue in any princess type movie or story or universe, but in the movies, you know, that's just an hour and a half. The royal families, we don't see them doing much. They have balls and go around getting maidens to put on shoes so they can marry them and stuff like that. It's weird. They don't exactly do any practical running of countries or political stuff. So the idea that princess is metaphorical can be a little more plausible. Okay. But Sofia is a show that ran for 8 seasons and therefore ended up featuring a lot more of the day-to-day practical side of what royalty means, what it's all about. When it comes to Sofia, I could go on for days and days about this, but I'm just going to take a couple of episodes. So in one, we see King Roland feeling frustrated because of his endless list of royal duties. At the end of another long day, he talks wistfully to Sofia about how he sometimes wishes for the simple life of a baker. And because of a conveniently placed magic mirror, they all wake up the next day transported to the village, and now They are the village bakers. Roland, of course, can't bake, and things don't go well for them, but they try to make do. However, during the day, various things in the kingdom go wrong because the royal family has disappeared, and without some royal person to cut the ribbon on the new playground, it can't be opened and the children can't come and play. No, really. That's how it works in Enchansia. That's just the way it is. So they eventually decide they have to go back to palace living and wish themselves back. Sofia offers to help Roland with his to-do list, and that's that. So again, as with Mickey, break the rules, it all goes to crap. Does anybody ever come up with the idea that, hey, maybe a more equitable situation might be good for everyone? Like where responsibility and power is evenly split up between people, and there's more than one family in the entire kingdom who can open a playground. No? No one thinks? No, okay then. So there's this one day when the king goes, I don't know, like bird watching or something, and he decides to leave James in charge to handle all the problems that come up, and multiple problems too. Like everyone in the country sees a problem. Look, there's a baby giant that's causing and there's this that's going on over here, and instead of even considering the idea that maybe they could figure out some stuff themselves, oh no, they just sit around and wait for the little boy to handle it. And he does eventually, thereby proving that he has the right stuff to be royalty someday, and Princess Sofia is just there for moral support. Now, Sofia has two friends from her days in the village, Jade and Ruby, that she still hangs out with sometimes, and this could be a way to show the class division and how arbitrary and unfair it is, but no, that doesn't happen. In one episode, she has her friend come to royal prep for a day, Jade, and they find a picture that they think means that she's actually a princess. It's a long story. And that, of course, means she would go to royal prep. Because that's how it works. Royal kids go to royal prep. Other kids go to the regular village school. Period. Sofia is super excited, but her friend Jade is secretly not happy and doesn't want to be a princess. She wants to stay at her little Dunwoody school and be a regular kid. This could be a chance for a little bit of rebellion from the rules. A girl who wants to choose her life path for herself, and that path is not one of tiaras and royal dresses, but one of working class solidarity. Hey-o! But no, of course. It turns out they were just mistaken. She's not a princess. There's a sense of fate that goes throughout the show. Destiny just seems to play a strange role there, as is kind of bound to happen in a magical fairy tale world, so it's just that Jade was really a commoner all along. It was only natural she wanted to do commoner things with other commoners. And we're right back to square one. Okay, again, I don't want this video to be endless. It's not that I'm saying all our cartoons for children need to be revolutionary, the adventures of Che Guevara or whatever. There's plenty of room for fantasy. And if your kid loves Mickey and Sofia, great, there's a lot to love. It's only that when you're a parent, you're responsible for keeping an eye out for the messages that are being given to them so you can help them think about those things. Question those narratives. Disney is Disney. Yes, they want to make great stories that kids love, and also they want those kids to be excited for buying things, because that's a big part of what they are. They're just this huge capitalist entity, putting forward ideas to very young people that the status quo is natural and great, and we should go with it, even if it's created around ridiculous and obvious divisions of wealth, property, or political power. They benefit from that message. This doesn't necessarily mean that they sit around planning how to make preschoolers cool with wealth inequality through animation and songs, but the end result is the same if that's the message they convey. It's all about awareness, you know? So, and now we have come to the part where I say, hey, how about liking and sharing and subscribing and clicking notification bells? Because all of those things help me a lot. And I really want to thank my patrons, A Wingless Monkey, Andre Rodriguez, Brad Savvy, Bruce Bartup, Charlie Malone, Kabiza, Daniel Jones, Dr. Christy Winters, Electric Robin, Foston, Jesse Wynn, Joe Taylor, Joanna Carvalho, Jordy, Kevin Thurber, Christina L. Mogul, Marianne Reithner, Marius, Mark, Marty Abernathy, Maria Deanne, Mike Yoakum, Nick Hayden, Nikki Paprika, Petri Liuto, Russell, Serena Gallagher, Some Random Geek, and Troy David. Thank you all so very, very, very much. I really appreciate it. Everything you've done and all of your support to me over these months. It's been wonderful. And I hope that I'm doing you good. Anyway, and of course to anybody who can't pay or doesn't want to support in that way, it's all good. I love you too. Thanks for watching. Bye!